From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
Are you ready to take a walk on the mild side? If so, you're going to like the weather that's coming over the next few days. Thanks for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino. We can expect temperatures to return to normal or even below average. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Hey, Kevin.
You know the saying, Amanda, what goes up must come down, and that will happen during the day tomorrow and Friday. As far as our temperatures, we're off about 5 degrees from the afternoon high. Temperature in Indy's at 84. You can see the hazy sky, kind of milky sky with the thin cirrus clouds kind of streaming in. 85 in Muncie right now. Temperatures tonight will drop about 20 more degrees from where we're at now into the mid 60s. Show you radar to build your confidence. Yesterday we were chasing isolated thunderstorms around, especially to the north, not this evening or tomorrow or Friday. It looks like our next best chance for some showers and thunderstorms will arrive. As we get to Saturday, a little more humidity and a little warmer as far as the temperatures are concerned. North to south, there are the temperatures across the state. Metro area 83 in New Pal. Martinsville's at 85, Zionsville 84 degrees. Notice temperatures over the next few nights, excuse me, will drop to about 60 on Saturday morning. That's not the coolest in my forecast. I'll hold off and share with you when temperatures will be down to around 54 in a little bit. Tomorrow's recovery, 75 by noon. Afternoon temperatures right at 80, so almost 10 degrees cooler than what we had today. We'll unveil the weekend forecast as well. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Now to our continuing coverage of the coronavirus and its impact on Indiana. The state health department reporting 17 more deaths from the coronavirus. 3,173 Hoosiers have now died from COVID-19. More than 101,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus, and more than 1.5 million people have been tested in Indiana. Hiring Hoosiers continues to highlight job opportunities coming to central Indiana, as well as those already here. Today, a company that makes tools says it's building a new tool service hub in Greenwood. Milwaukee Tool says it's leasing a 150,000 square foot building on South Tech Drive. The company says the building will feature tool repair and warehouse space. Milwaukee Tool says it expects to hire more than 450 people at the Greenwood facility over the next 5 years. They expect to open the new service hub by March of next year. Amazon is now officially hiring workers for its new facility coming to Hancock County. Amazon announced the new Greenfield Fulfillment Center back in February, and the company now says it has more than 800 full-time positions to fill. Pay starts at about $15 an hour, and Amazon says you must have a high school diploma or equivalent and be at least 18 years old to apply. We have information on those jobs at our website, hiringhoosiers.com.
A flight organization has its sights set on creating more minority pilots. The Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals wants more young people to consider a career in aviation. WRTV talked with pilots who are dedicated to teaching young people about all the possibilities the field has to offer. The pilots explained to us how they got their start.
My journey started, I was 16, so almost 30 now, so I've been doing it for a while. Got my license when I was 18. I was still in high school, so I quit basketball to become a pilot. I figured out this is what I want to do.
I've always wanted to be a pilot. When I was 5 years old, I took my first flight to Disney when I went down to Orlando, Florida. And I went into the airplane and I said, wow, I heard a bunch of bells and whistles. And I said, I want to look up front. And that's what I actually want to do.
We have more details on aviation opportunities when you read this story on WRTV.com.
Tens of thousands of airline workers are set to lose their jobs at the end of the month unless Congress takes action, and so far that doesn't appear to be happening. So what will the impact be on you, the traveler? Our Joe St. George is in Washington, where airline unions took to Capitol Hill today to try to save their jobs.
Congress is back in session, and while there is some chatter of another round of economic relief before the election, at the moment there is no serious discussion about another bailout for airlines, which means major layoffs could be taking place at the end of the month. United Airlines is planning on laying off 16,000 October 1st. American Airlines says they're laying off 19,000. But we should note Delta and Southwest are for the moment saying they won't be laying off anyone. October 1st is the first day airlines that took federal bailout money earlier this year can lay off workers under the law passed by Congress. Today, flight attendants marched on Capitol Hill with signs saying, "Please don't clip our wings." What does this mean for you if you travel? Well, a spokesman for the Association of Flight Attendants says routes will be cut, and a smaller flight attendant workforce means it may be harder to staff a flight if someone calls in sick, leading to cancellations. But airline CEOs say, look, airline travel is down across the country, and unless they get more financial assistance from Congress, they simply have to lay off the workers. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
And despite recent job numbers showing a drop in unemployment, there are fears that more layoffs are on the way. In March, when most of the country shut down, a lot of employers had to either lay off or furlough their employees, and that could be happening again. Cornell University just posted a study showing about 1/3 of those who went back to work during the pandemic have now been laid off again. And they found that 26% of workers they surveyed said their employer warned them future furloughs and layoffs could be coming. Professor Daniel Alpert says this could send us into a spiral.
The problem is that you get an echo, right? So if you have a resurgence in layoffs, you have a decrease in spending that creates more contraction on the part of businesses, which creates more layoffs, right? So the question is, when can you put a floor under this spiraling situation? And it is a classic economic spiral.
Experts believe the job loss now could lead to a possible third round of major layoffs. Experts like Alpert believe a vaccine or another stimulus package are the two things that could halt the possible economic spiral. The election will be here before you know it. Next, how you are just one click away from everything you need to know about how and where to cast your vote.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
The general election is less than 2 months away. WRTV is working for you, sharing information and resources to help you exercise your right to vote. Tonight, we're showing you what Marion County is doing to make the voting process easier. Our Cornelius Hawker shows you that if you have questions about casting your ballot, the answers are likely just a click away.
Jackson Cloyd is going to vote in November.
If you want to have a say in things, if you want things that you value to be brought up in the world, then you vote.
He wishes more people, especially those who are young like him, would understand the importance of voting.
There's not going to be any change unless, obviously, socially things happen, but also legislatively.
But Jackson's aware some folks want to vote, but don't necessarily know how. That's why the Vote Indy website was created.
It talks about vote by mail, just general planning. It gives a really detailed map.
While I watched, Jackson navigated the website himself for the first time. It lays everything out for those looking to cast their ballot, whether it's making sure you're registered or making a plan to vote in person or through the mail. A map shows you every election day voting center in the county, so you can find one that's convenient for you. The biggest issue is getting this information to the people who actually need it.
Even if younger voters don't always watch the news, maybe their family members do. So, like if my dad saw this and he'd be like, oh, hey, check out this website. If you don't know how to vote, this is going to show you.
If that's not the type of thing your family usually talks about, Jackson says look to your friends who are civically engaged. More than likely, they'll be using social media to share voting information you can use, like the Vote Indy website. Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
Well, the most important date that you need to know is October 5th. That is the deadline to register to vote in the November election.
And some big temperature swings are on the way. Nothing too dramatic, not like Denver going from 91 and then into the 20s, but you see the cooler air out to the west. We'll talk about our own cool down coming up.
President Trump is facing new criticism after the Justice Department asked to take over his defense in a defamation lawsuit. That lawsuit was filed by a woman who says Trump raped her more than 2 decades ago. ABC's Inez de la Cuetara tells us if the request is granted, taxpayers will be paying for the president's defense.
Experts say the move is unprecedented. The Justice Department asking a New York federal judge for permission to step in to replace President Trump's private legal team with DOJ lawyers in a high-profile defamation lawsuit. In its court filing, the DOJ argues President Trump was acting in the scope of his official role as president when he accused author E. Jean Carroll of lying about her claim that Donald Trump forcibly raped her more than 2 decades ago in a dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman's department store.
Walked in, and the minute I was in there, he shut the door and pushed me up against the wall and banged my head on the wall and kissed me. It was so shocking.
The president has repeatedly denied the allegations, telling The Hill, "She's not my type."
I have no idea who she is, none whatsoever.
Those denials, along with the president's claim that Carroll was lying about the alleged rape, is what prompted her defamation lawsuit. The DOJ now facing criticism for getting involved in the president's personal matters. If accepted by the judge, the Justice Department's view that the president should be represented by the federal government would mean Trump would win the case, as this is a defamation suit, and the federal government and its officers cannot be sued for defamation in the performance of official duties. Carroll is seeking to have Trump sit for a deposition and provide a DNA sample. With just 55 days to go until the election, the move could prevent any potentially embarrassing details from being disclosed. Carroll writing, the president will do everything possible, including using the full powers of the federal government to block discovery from going forward in my case.
This comes as Carroll has been writing a weekly column in The Atlantic profiling other women who've accused Trump of sexual assault before he became president. Trump has denied their allegations. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Washington.
As you know, yesterday we had thunderstorms around. We were tracking those, putting down some heavy rainfall, but they were isolated. Today it's dry and warm. These are not current temperatures. These are the high temperatures from earlier in the day. Keep in mind, 80 is the average high. Temperatures will fall to average and then a little below average by the time we end the work week. Temperatures then through the evening hours tonight will fall into the 60s as we go overnight. Partly cloudy tonight. I do think we'll see patchy fog again, especially northern half of the state. Breezy and cooler tomorrow. The wind is critical. It's really the wind direction that will help us out. Start to push the warm, moist air south of the Ohio River for a couple of days. We'll bring back that chance for a thunderstorm over the weekend. 84 in Indy, down 5 degrees from the afternoon high. The wind out of the southwest. Winds are fairly light. Bloomington's at 85. There are the morning low temperatures. Temperature down to 66 in Indy. As you look at the 7-day in just a little bit, you'll see temperatures as cool as 54 degrees. That'll be a nice little trend. Tomorrow's temperatures right at average. We're a little below Friday. We bounce back up temporarily Saturday and then start to cool back down. Those are some of the temperature swings I'm talking about. Nothing dramatic, but from well above average to just a little below in the span of a couple days. Temperatures tomorrow with a mixture of clouds and sunshine through the day. Struggle to hit 80, could climb just above that. That north wind, though, will start to lower the humidity. There's your wind out of the northeast through the day. Could have some gusts to 15 miles per hour through the afternoon hours. As you look at temperatures for areas to the north, 76 in Peru, Logansport, Monticello also struggling to get into the middle to upper 70s. The rain is going to hold off for a couple more days as high pressure temporarily keeps us on the mild side and dry side. Friday, more clouds in the morning, more sunshine in the afternoon, temperature of 78. It will be a good night for Friday night football. Cloud cover through the day. Not much in the way of a rain chance, though, as I mentioned. If we did see any rain, it would be south of the Ohio River, it looks like. Temperatures, they'll say in the 70s for highs on Friday to end the work week. Weekend temperatures come above average. Saturday, a 30% chance for thunderstorms, 84 degrees. That happens to be the warmest temperature now within the 7-day planner, the 84 on Saturday. We're a couple degrees cooler on Sunday, and then a 3-morning stretch. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday mornings, all in the 50s. That'll be nice. Open the windows once again, 54 on Tuesday morning, and it's sunshine that greets us heading back to work early next week. We'll be back with more news right after this.
We want to remind you that WRTV is raising money right now to ensure kids in low-income households have books of their very own. We're asking you to donate to our If You Give a Child a Book campaign. Donations will be accepted through Friday. Just go to WRTV.com/giveabook for details on how to donate. Where you go out to eat might be changing significantly and permanently.
Alicia Nieves has a look at how some managers are seeing sales soar while others worry they'll have to hang the "We're closed" sign up for good.
Restaurants nationwide have been selling to-go cocktails and takeout to stay afloat for the past 6 months. In recent weeks, some have created outdoor seating and have even been allowed to offer limited seating indoors. But new data from Bank of America shows it is still a struggle. Sales at independent restaurants are still down about 15%.
Because right now, it's just sad. People are exhausting their personal savings, they're shutting their businesses, and they just don't know what to do.
Andrew Ritchie is with the New York City Hospitality Alliance. In New York City alone, at least 1,200 restaurants have closed since March. Across the country, that number is around 16,000.
It's a really dire situation.
Mostly for independent restaurants, because the same Bank of America study that showed sales still down about 15% at mom and pop restaurants shows chain restaurant sales are up 2% higher than they were pre-pandemic. Industry experts believe these chains are now in a better position to replace space occupied by folded restaurants or struggling ones, potentially now shifting the flavor of the restaurant industry towards chain food.
I'm not knocking or saying there's anything bad about a chain, but we want our independent, beloved mom and pop businesses. So we really need support from the federal, state, and city government to ensure that these places are able to recover.
The Restaurants Act was introduced to Congress in June as a possible solution to help struggling independent restaurants with grant money. But Congress hasn't voted on the bill or shown any signs it could pass. Without additional help, the latest estimates are that upwards of 85% of independent restaurants could fold by the end of the pandemic. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Those educational apps your child is playing could be violating your preschooler's privacy and be in violation of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. A new study analyzed how developers collect and share personal digital information while children are using many of the tens of thousands of digital apps created for kids. The research found that 67% of apps played by children 3 to 4 years old collected data, including location data, and shared it with third-party marketing companies. Researchers say that information is used to profile consumers and target ads. Experts say parents should monitor what their apps their children are using and adjust settings to avoid exploiting children. We take Tylenol to ease the pain, but does the drug also loosen up your inhibitions? A new study shows that the active ingredient in Tylenol makes some people more likely to take risks. Researchers at Ohio State University split nearly 200 students into a placebo group and a group given 1,000 milligrams of acetaminophen. Students then filled out a list of different activities and rated their risk level. Researchers found students in the acetaminophen group were more likely to rate activities like skydiving and bungee jumping as less risky than the placebo group. Other tests revealed similar results.
Uber plans to go green. The ride-hailing service plans to only offer rides in electric vehicles by 2030. Uber also released a report admitting its vehicles are 41% higher in carbon emissions than an average vehicle. That is because drivers have to drive alone to pick up passengers, and most trips involve only one passenger. Uber's pledge to go all electric by 2030 comes 3 months after Lyft made a similar announcement. The Air Force recently tested a new breed of robotics. Robotic dogs stretched their legs this week at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. They were part of a much larger military exercise that involved dozens of groups covering 30 different locations. The robots are designed to be sophisticated computers that can conduct perimeter patrols, inspections, mapping, and other surveillance operations. The military uses all kinds of robots for various duties, but these are believed to be far more agile to deal with difficult terrain. Kevin.
Difficulty overnight. Some patchy fog is possible into the morning hours. Amanda, Mark.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at 11.